What do you think would happen if on any given day you simply left? I'm not talking about physically disappearing, but about disconnecting, letting go of those invisible threads that tie you to others. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you decided to step away, not out of hatred, not out of resentment, but simply out of the need to be with yourself? Most people don't understand it, but distance has a strange, almost unsettling power. It's as if moving out of their orbit breaks a delicate balance. It's not just about missing you. It goes beyond that. It's something much darker, deeper, something that touches their most sensitive fibers. Because when you decide to step away, you leave a void. And voids are always uncomfortable. Not because of what's missing, but because of what they reveal. And here's the intriguing part. Your absence doesn't hurt because of what you were to them, but because of what they can no longer project onto you. Make no mistake, people don't see you as you are. They see you as they need you to be. You are the mirror in which they reflect their insecurities, their hidden desires, their expectations. When you decide to step away, they're not left looking at the gap you left. They're left confronting the shattered reflection you used to hold up. Think about it. How many times have you been told you're important, that they need you, that they couldn't do this or that without you? But deep down, isn't it curious how those words always seem to be more about them than about you? When you distance yourself, you shatter that illusion. And then they begin to feel something they can't explain. It's discomfort, it's anger, it's guilt, it's fear. But most of all, it's a question they don't dare to ask. What's left of me if you're no longer there? It's unsettling, isn't it? To think that someone might depend on you, not out of love, not out of genuine connection, but because you were the support for something they didn't want to face in themselves. And yet, that is the reality of many human relationships. We are mirrors, but we are also crutches. When you decide to let go, when you decide to step away, you force others to wobble, to face a truth they were trying to ignore. Their emotional dependence wasn't on you, but on the idea of you. And then comes the real mystery. What do they actually feel when you're no longer there? Some will say sadness, others disappointment. Some might even fill themselves with resentment. But the truth is they don't know, because the void you leave has no shape. It's not a pain they can identify. It's not a wound they can heal. It's something more visceral, more primal. It's the echo of what they never wanted to admit. What goes on in their minds when you decide to leave? What shadows do you awaken in them? And more importantly, why does that decision to step away seem to hold so much power? Why does it create so much noise in their souls? Today, we're not going to talk about the easy stuff. We're not staying on the surface. We're going to explore what really happens when you decide to step away, what others feel, what they don't dare to say, what they try to hide, and above all, why that act, which seems so simple, has the ability to lay bare the darkest corners of their psychology. Get ready, because this won't be a comfortable journey. There are no easy answers here, no truths that won't make you uneasy. This is a journey into the depths of human emotions, into the zones most prefer to avoid. But if you're here, it's because something within you already knows. Stepping away doesn't just transform your life. It shakes the world of those who don't know how to exist without you. And that is the real mystery we're going to unravel. When you decide to step away, something curious happens. People start to reconstruct a narrative about you. They begin to wonder if they really knew you, or if they were merely projecting onto you what they wanted to see. And that doubt is what can consume them. Because your departure isn't just physical. It's symbolic. It represents a change in a dynamic they didn't control. And loss of control always generates anxiety. You know what's most ironic? That many times, people don't even understand why your decision affects them so much. In their minds, you weren't that crucial. You didn't occupy such a big place. But your departure reveals that you occupied more space than they were willing to admit. It's as if your absence illuminates the cracks in their emotional structure, the ones they always try to hide. And what they feel isn't about you. It's about what your distance forces them to confront. There's something profoundly unsettling about how your stepping away can become a trial by fire for the relationships you leave behind. Often, your absence lays bare an uncomfortable truth that many human connections aren't based on unconditional love or mutual respect, but on conveniences, power dynamics, and unspoken needs. And when you decide to break those dynamics, people don't just lose a person, they lose a support system a point of reference, a balance that you unknowingly helped maintain. So here comes a question no one wants to ask. What's left of them when you're no longer there? They're left with themselves, their insecurities, their unresolved fears, their questions without answers. And many times that confrontation is so brutal that instead of facing it, they prefer to create a villain out of you. It's easier to say, "You abandoned me," than to admit, "I never learned to stand on my own." It's easier to say, "You changed," than to accept, "I always depended on your presence to feel stable." Do you see the pattern? Your decision to step away becomes the spark that ignites hidden fires. But that narrative isn't about who you really are. It's about who you were in their lives, and more importantly, about what they lose with your absence. It's as if they try to fill the void with versions of you that you don't even recognize. They begin to interpret you, analyze you from afar, looking for signs, patterns, anything to help them explain your decision. But here's the trick. What they're really seeking isn't to understand you. It's to justify themselves. Your absence forces them to confront a question they never wanted to ask. How much of my emotional stability depended on this person? And that question, for many, is unbearable because in their quest to project strength, independence, self-sufficiency, they're forced to acknowledge something deeply human, but also deeply uncomfortable. They depended on you more than they were willing to admit. And you know what happens next? They start to transform their perception of you, not because you changed, but because they need to construct a version of your departure that's bearable for them. Some idealize you, as if your absence makes you more valuable than you already were. Others, on the other hand, demonize you. They convince themselves that your leaving was a selfish act, even a betrayal, because deep down, it's easier to blame you than to admit that your decision destabilized them. The fascinating part is how these emotions don't emerge uniformly. People react in completely different ways depending on what you represented in their lives. For some, your absence is like an open wound. For others, it's a wound they thought was healed, but that your distance reopens. And for a few, it's a mirror that reflects their greatest fear, being alone with themselves. This is where the real complexity lies. It's not just that others react. It's how those reactions change over time. At first, there may be anger or confusion, but as time passes, the absence becomes much more abstract. Fires that were already burning silently beneath the surface. You didn't cause their pain. You only revealed it. You didn't create their emptiness. You only made them see it. And that's something few are willing to accept. This is why stepping away holds so much power. Not because it hurts people directly, but because it strips away their defenses, their masks, their comforting illusions. It exposes what's real, what was always there, underneath the noise, the routines, the roles we play for each other. And here lies the great paradox. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and for others, is to step away, to allow space, to let the mirror break, to let the void do its work. Because healing doesn't happen in noise. It happens in silence, in absence, in the uncomfortable spaces we usually run from. And your distance, as painful as it may be, can be the catalyst for growth. Not only for you, but for those who are willing to face what surfaces in the wake of your departure. But be warned, not everyone will choose growth. Some will cling to resentment. Some will rewrite the story to make you the villain. Some will build even stronger walls around their hearts. And that's okay, because once you step away, their reactions are no longer your responsibility. Your only responsibility is to yourself, to your truth, to your inner peace, to your own evolution. Stepping away isn't abandonment. It's self-respect. It's recognizing when your presence is being used to prop up illusions instead of fostering authentic connection. And when you honor that truth, something beautiful happens. You begin to attract people who don't need you as a crutch, but who choose you as a companion. Not out of fear, not out of need, but out of freedom. Because real connection only happens between whole individuals, not between broken mirrors desperately trying to reflect back a sense of self. So if you're at the crossroads, wondering whether to stay or to step away, listen carefully. Listen not to the noise of others' expectations, not to the guilt they may try to impose, but to the soft, unwavering voice within you. Because deep down, you already know the answer. Some endings are not betrayals. They are acts of liberation. Some absences are not losses. They are invitations to grow, to heal, to finally see yourself without distortion. And remember, the void you leave behind is not your burden to fill. It is theirs to face, and what they choose to do with it is not your story anymore.